The dunning-kruger effect, why the least skilled people feel the most confident, is the reason the loudest person in the room is almost always the one who understands the least. Here's the strange part. The people who know the least about something often feel the most certain about it. And the true experts? They're usually the ones full of quiet doubt. It sounds backwards. It isn't. There's a specific reason your brain works this way. And it starts with a bank robbery. Pittsburgh, 1995. A man walked into two banks in broad daylight. No mask, no disguise, just his bare face smiling straight into the security cameras. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't high. He wasn't even nervous. He was completely, sincerely convinced he'd found the perfect trick. He thought he was invisible. He was wrong in a way that's almost hard to believe. And what he believed that afternoon is the exact thing that pushed two psychologists to change how we understand confidence forever. His mistake became a mirror. And you're in it too. So stay with me here, because this isn't really about a criminal. It's about a blind spot that lives in every human head, including yours. Wheeler just showed us the extreme version. This single idea will change how you hear every argument. His name was MacArthur Wheeler. His plan was simple, and to him, brilliant. He'd heard that lemon juice can be used as invisible ink. Write with it, and the words vanish. Heat the paper and they reappear. So he made a leap. If lemon juice can hide writing, it should be able to hide his face too. He rubbed the juice all over his skin. His eyes stung. He kept going. He even tested the theory with a Polaroid. Somehow the photo came out blank, probably because he pointed the camera at the ceiling by accident. But to him, that was proof. Absolute proof. He robbed the first bank. Then he robbed the second. He didn't rush. He didn't hide. That same night, the police played the footage on the evening news. And within hours, he was in handcuffs, still not understanding what had gone wrong. He didn't sneak. He didn't run. He strolled. To him, there was nothing to fear. Invisible men don't hurry. Confidence, it seems, needs no evidence at all. When detectives showed him the surveillance photos, he stared at his own face on the screen. He was genuinely stunned. He couldn't process it. But I wore the juice, he kept saying. He wasn't lying. He wasn't making an excuse. In his mind, the plan had been flawless. This is the important part. He was so bad at understanding cameras and light and basic chemistry that he had no way of measuring how wrong he was. His incompetence didn't only make him fail, it hid the failure from him. It erased the evidence. Think about how eerie that is. The same ignorance that caused the mistake also disguised it. He couldn't see the gap because seeing the gap required the very knowledge he didn't have. And that single sentence, "I wore the juice," is where this whole story really begins. The detectives later concluded he wasn't insane. He wasn't on drugs. He was simply, sincerely, catastrophically mistaken. And that combination fascinated the scientists who heard about it. Certainty, it turns out, is a terrible measure of truth. A psychologist named David Dunning read about Wheeler in the newspaper. Most people laughed and turned the page. Dunning couldn't let it go. One question stuck to him. If a man could be too incompetent to rob a bank, could he also be too incompetent to know he was incompetent? Could ignorance, in a strange way, protect itself? Could being wrong actually feel like being right? So he teamed up with his graduate student, Dunning-Kruger. Together at Cornell University, they set out to test something almost no one had measured directly. Not how skilled people actually were. Everyone measures that. They wanted the other number. How skilled people believed they were. And then they wanted to see how far apart those two numbers could drift, because that gap, they suspected, was where the real story lived. He wondered how often the rest of us do a smaller version of the same thing. Not with lemon juice. With opinions, with skills, with how good we assume we are. A newspaper story became a research question. And that question became one of the most cited ideas in modern psychology. In 1999, they published their results. The paper had a blunt title, Unskilled and Unaware of It. They ran 4 separate studies on undergraduate students. They tested 3 ordinary things: English grammar, logical reasoning, and even a sense of humor. These weren't random choices. Each one could be scored objectively. After every test, they asked one simple question. How well do you think you did? Compared to everyone else here, where do you rank? Then they lined up what people believed against how they had actually scored. And they watched the two lines separate. The gap wasn't small. It wasn't random noise. It followed a pattern so clean and so consistent that it now carries both of their names. What they found wasn't a quirk, it was a rule your mind seems to follow. One study can be luck, two can be coincidence. Four separate studies, all pointing the same direction, start to look like a law of the mind. Different skills, same result every time. That consistency is what makes it science, not an anecdote. And once you see the shape of it, you can't look away. Here's the number that stopped them cold. The people who scored in the bottom quarter, the worst performers in the entire group, guessed they'd landed around the 62nd percentile, above average, better than most people in the room. Now hold that thought. In reality, they were sitting near the 12th. Let that sink in. That's a gap of roughly 50 percentile points. 50, between how good they thought they were and how good they truly were. Read it again. The least capable people weren't just a little overconfident. They were spectacularly wrong about themselves. Almost heroically wrong. And they had absolutely no idea. Here's the cruelest detail. The worse someone actually performed, the more inflated their self-image tended to become. Failure didn't humble them. It flattered them. The bottom of the scale felt like the top. And it holds up in situation after situation. On the road, in the office, in arguments online. The pattern barely changes. The confidence rose as the competence fell. Two lines crossing in the worst possible place. So why does this happen? Dunning-Kruger's answer is the elegant part. The very skills you need to be good at something are the same skills you need to judge whether you're good at it. Think about grammar. If you don't know the rules, you can't write a correct sentence. But here's the trap. You also can't spot that your sentence is wrong. The knowledge that would fix the mistake is the exact knowledge that's missing. Psychologists call this a dual burden. You fail, and the same gap that made you fail also blinds you to the failure. Incompetence comes wrapped in its own camouflage. Now, one honest note, the research here is still debated. Some argue part of the gap is just statistics, not psychology, but the core pattern keeps showing up again and again across decades of studies. So the floor of your ability is guarded by the same door as the ceiling. To know you're bad at something, you first have to be a little good at it. You need a little competence, just to see your own incompetence. The effect has a second half, and almost everyone forgets it. Look at the top performers, the people who actually scored highest. They did something surprising too. They underestimated themselves. They assumed the test had been easy for everyone, simply because it had felt easy for them. This is the quiet twist most people miss. Real skill often arrives wrapped in doubt. The more you learn about a subject, the more clearly you can see how much you still don't know. Every answer opens 3 new questions. Knowledge doesn't only build confidence, it builds humility. It has to. The expert hesitates for a reason. They finally understand the size of the room they're standing in. The beginner sees a small room. The expert sees a horizon. Same subject, completely different view. That's why the smartest people you know often sound the least certain. It isn't false modesty. It's accurate vision. They can simply see more of the map, including the blank spaces. Confidence peaks early when you know almost nothing. Then it dips as reality arrives. Then it slowly climbs back, this time earned. Now watch where this shows up in your actual life. It's the coworker who's been on the job 3 weeks and already wants to redesign the entire system. It's the loudest voice in the meeting, talking over the person who's quietly done this work for 20 years. It's the confident wrong answer, delivered faster than the careful right one. And speed feels like truth. We tend to reward confidence. We mistake volume for competence. We mistake hesitation for weakness. It's a bias baked into how we listen. And so, again and again, the person who understands the least ends up steering the decision, while the one who understands the most stays silent. still checking their own work, still wondering if they've missed something. The room hears certainty and calls it expertise. And once you notice this, you can't unsee it. In the news, in your family, in yourself, on a bad day. The pattern is everywhere, hiding in plain sight. Meetings reward the person who never hesitates, not the person who's usually right. The cost of this is bigger than one bad meeting. It shapes who gets promoted, who gets believed, which ideas get funded, and which get quietly ignored. Whole rooms drift toward the most certain voice, not the most correct one. Now here's the uncomfortable mirror. This isn't really a story about other people. It's a story about you, and about me. Because everyone is a genuine expert in a few narrow things, and a confident beginner in almost everything else. There are subjects right now where you are Wheeler, lemon juice on your face, completely sure, completely wrong, and by definition, unable to feel the difference. That's the part that itches. You can't simply think your way out of it. The blind spot includes itself. You don't feel it as a gap. You feel it as certainty. And the worst part is you can't just decide to see your own blind spots. They don't announce themselves. They feel like solid ground, right up until you fall through. Humbling, yes, but also strangely freeing once you accept it. But don't be too hard on that beginner's confidence. It exists for a reason. It's not a flaw. It's closer to a feature. If we felt the full weight of our own ignorance every single time we tried something new, we'd never start anything. We'd freeze. A child learning to walk has no idea how badly they're doing, and that blindness is a gift. It lets them keep falling until one day they don't. Overconfidence is the fuel that gets us moving before we're ready. Without it, nobody writes a first book. Nobody starts a business. Nobody learns a language. So the problem was never feeling confident. The problem is staying confident when the evidence starts telling you otherwise, and never pausing long enough to ask whether you might be wearing the juice. So the goal isn't to kill your confidence. It's to keep it, but put a question mark beside it. Confidence to begin, humility to improve. You need both. A little healthy delusion is how anything hard ever gets started. So here's the shift. The real skill isn't confidence. And it isn't doubt either. It's calibration. Matching how sure you feel to how much you actually know. And there's one honest move that starts it. Whenever you feel completely certain, try to argue the other side, out loud if you can. Ask yourself one question. What would I have to learn to discover that I'm wrong? Then go looking for it, on purpose. The moment you hunt for your own blind spot, the spell begins to weaken. Certainty stops being a feeling and becomes something you test. Confidence that survives that test is earned. Confidence that can't survive a question was never knowledge. It was only lemon juice. The difference isn't how sure you feel. It's whether you ever checked. It costs you nothing but a moment of discomfort. And that discomfort is the exact feeling of getting smarter. Most people flinch away from it. Sit in it instead. Treat your certainty like a claim that has to earn its keep. Nothing gets believed for free. So the next time you notice the most certain person in the room, don't rush to trust the certainty. Notice the quiet one beside them, still thinking, still checking, a little unsure. Real understanding rarely shouts. It pauses. It asks one more question before it speaks. Remember Wheeler. He felt invisible right up until the handcuffs closed. And here's the thing nobody tells you. Certainty feels exactly the same, whether you're right or whether you're wrong. From the inside, they're identical. That's the whole trap. So listen for the doubt in a voice. It's not weakness. It's often the sound of someone who actually knows. The loud one is sure, the quiet one is thinking. The loudest voice still knows the least. Because the sound of true expertise is often a pause. A careful maybe. A quiet, let me check. The confident answer arrives first. The correct one usually arrives second. Notice who slows down before they answer. That's usually the person worth hearing.